Today, I am going to show you how I make what, in my opinion, and my friends and family's opinion, is the world's best shepherd's pie. Now, I'll get a lot of criticism because this isn't technically shepherd's pie. I'm going to show you how I make it. It's not the world's healthiest shepherd's pie, I can tell you that, but it's probably the most flavorful. Let's get started. To start off, I am going to boil up some potatoes. That's about 2 pounds of potatoes. Those are just white potatoes, but that's not really important. Use whatever kind of potatoes you want. And I'm going to brown up some beef. This is just ground beef. It is 80-20, but I don't recommend getting something that fatty. And that's about 2 pounds, just a little bit over 2 pounds of beef there. I'm making a pretty good sized pie. Alright, everything's cooking up nicely. Potatoes are boiling. Ground beef is just about good enough to drain. Soon after I drain it, I will start adding the seasonings. I don't put in the seasonings till after I've drained it because I don't want to drain out all my seasonings with the fat. So one little trick that I've found useful for me, so when I drain that, I will drain it into a bowl with a paper towel on the bottom. So I'll just use the lid and I'll just drain it into this bowl, and then once it all hardens up, you can just grab the paper towel and pull the grease and everything right out and throw it away. It makes cleaning up the bowl a lot easier. That's my little trick. Alright, let's get this stuff drained in about a minute. Not yet. It's not ready. Alright, the ground beef is about 80% cooked, and so I have drained out the fat, and that's what I got, that quite a bit of fat there out of there. And potatoes are just about ready, but let's start adding some stuff in here. I have chopped up a small Vidalia onion, threw that in there. Got some garlic. Put a whole bunch of garlic in there. Another small spoonful. Italian seasoning. I'll put a whole bunch of that in there. I put in a fair amount. And then a little bit more. I'll grind up some salt. Throw that in there. Grind up some pepper. Throw that in there. I'll mix it all up. I'll put the lid back on and leave it on low heat just until the onions break down. Alright, we're now ready to make some mashed potatoes. You can see the ground beef is still simmering. I just fogged up the camera. Onions are starting to break down a little. I'm going to put in a whole stick of butter into our potatoes. Some garlic powder. I like using the powder better in the mashed potatoes than the fresh garlic. Put quite a bit of that in there. I'm going to put in this whole thing of sour cream here. Let's see, this is 16 ounces. So I'll put all of that in there. And if it's not creamy enough after I mix all that in, then I will add some milk. So let me just set the camera down for a second so I can put all that sour cream in there. We got all our sour cream in there. I'm going to go ahead and add some salt. I'm going to use regular table salt this time instead of the pink salt, the Himalayan salt. That works good on something you're going to cook and it can melt down. But in something like the mashed potatoes, you're going to want to use a regular table salt. Same thing with the pepper. I'm going to use a regular ground pepper. Not much left in my bottle, but I don't really want it to be coarse ground in the mashed potatoes. That's plenty of pepper. You can see I'm not too particular about measuring anything, but I put a lot of everything in. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my mixer. We are now ready to start building our pie. So we've got the ground beef in here. Just going to spread that out, get a nice even layer. Now, this is where things get interesting. This is where the magic comes in. I'm going to take some sharp cheddar cheese. In this case, it's extra sharp. I'm going to sprinkle that in there. And this will melt right down into that ground beef. It'll almost create like a cheese sauce in the meat, but it's really not as noticeable as you would think. The whole pie kind of becomes one big meld of flavor. Big meld of awesomeness. Can't have too much cheese. Can't have too much seasoning. Can't have too much garlic. It's always going to be just the right amount. Alright, so now I'm going to dump on some corn. This is just regular corn. I'm going to do 2 cans of that. And then I'm going to take a can of cream corn and put that right over the top of that. Take my spatula and I'll just kind of flatten it out a little bit. So you end up with is like a cream corn that's extra hearty because of all the regular corn that's in it. I really like that, the combination of that. Bacon. You gotta have bacon. So I use this pre-cooked, already crumbled up bacon. It just makes life easier for me. You can cook up your own bacon if you like. Once again, you can't really have too much bacon, just like the cheese. See a couple spots that don't have enough bacon for me. Oh yeah, that's gonna be good. Now I'm just gonna put a little salt and pepper on that and put the potatoes on. Mashed potatoes are all spread on there. Now, it's time for more bacon. That's right, you guessed it. More bacon. How can you go wrong with tons of bacon, cheese, garlic? Now, we're going to do the rest of this extra sharp cheddar cheese I got here. I like that Sargento brand. Just going to sprinkle that right on there. And just as I suspected, that's not enough cheese. So I have more cheese. This is just double cheddar. Put some of that on there. This is my wife's absolutely favorite meal. I've been making it this way for about probably 15 years now. And it's good every time. Even though I sometimes tweak things a little bit, things will be a little bit different. But in general, it's kind of the same. This will go in the oven at about 300 degrees to 350 degrees, maybe 325. And I'll just leave it in there until all the cheese is melted and it's kind of bubbling in the corners a little bit from the cream corn. Take it out, let it rest for a little while. Would you look at that? Just look at it. That is one beautiful shepherd's pie. So I'm just going to let this rest for about, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. And then I'll scoop into it, see what we got. I used a foil pan because I originally was going to be taking this to a friend's house tonight where we normally have like a pool tournament on Wednesday nights. But I decided not to go. And yeah, all the guys are going to be crying because they're not getting shepherd's pie tonight. But sorry. There you have it. The world's best shepherd's pie. Serve it on a plate. Garnish it with some fresh microgreens so it at least has the appearance that it could possibly be healthy. And serve it up. Thanks for watching, guys.